Hey folks, Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilia here, taking a look at the tropical update brought by the good folks over there at Pine Belt Gutters and Remodeling. And so far this hurricane season, it was kind of an active start. We had Arthur and Bertha and Cristobal out the gate pretty quickly, and then Dolly formed out there in the open Atlantic, and now we're waiting for Eduardo to show up. Faye and Gonzalo were next down the list. In July, generally, we're looking into the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean here. And then just off the East Coast as well. As we move through July and toward August, then things really start picking up. Of course, the peak of hurricane season, the beginning of September 10th. So we've got a ways to go. Generally around here, we usually end up in kind of a lull in July in terms of our South Mississippi activity. Now, of course, in recent years, we've had one or two tropical systems, but for the most part, historically, we either get ours a little earlier in the year, or we have to wait until a little bit later in the season. That's not to say it can't happen, but you guys get the idea. All right, out there right now, in terms of what's happening into the tropics, not much really to talk about. We've got a couple of places worth noting across parts of the not really the Gulf, probably the Northwest Caribbean. We've got some thunderstorm activity happening near the Yucatan there, and we've got some just off the coast of the East Coast and toward Bermuda. But outside of that, I mean, we've got a little bit of trough action here. We've got some dry air out here. We've got some more dry air in here, and then we've got some leftover dry air in here. So for the most part, it's pretty quiet. In fact, as we head through the next couple of days, 700 millibar moisture, 850 vorticity map. Of course, we're always looking in here for, we got our dry air. That's the kind of grayed out area. And you see, we got tons of dry air out here. And that's putting the lid on anything developing. Now, underneath that, we're looking for places where that's not happening, and we maybe have little areas of low-level rotation. And it looks like we have some maybe just off the East Coast, and then we actually end up with one around here as we head through the weekend. The one around here, though, it doesn't really in much of a hurry to get anywhere. Here we go through Tuesday and next week. Now, we're going to be on the kind of westish side of this, so it's going to be the dry-ish side of things as we head through next week. Not completely dry, but dry-ish before that finally gets off of the coast, slowly, as we head through next weekend. Now, once we're on the back side of this, it does look like as we head into, at least for South Mississippi, parts of Alabama, Louisiana, we will start to dry things out as we head into next weekend. The weird thing with this is, where does this thing set up? And this is one thing that the models have really struggled with over the last couple of days. At first, they were like, into the Gulf of Mexico. And then they were like, nah, just off of the East Coast. And they were like, nah, it's going to be in northern Alabama and Georgia. And now it's, nah, it's going to be just off the East Coast again. So they're having a tough time with this. And the reason is because it's cut off from the main flow. It's not wrapped up in the jet stream. And so it gets very difficult for the computer models to figure out where something that's, free floating out there is going to go. Outside of that, you can see we just have a whole mess of dry air still parked across parts of the open Atlantic. And as you make your way into most of the Gulf of Mexico and the Northwest Caribbean, which should keep everything pretty much calm as we head through the next about 7 to 10 days. So that's a look at your tropical update brought to you by Pine Belt Gutters and Remodeling.